Walk the streets near Rome's Palatine Hill around the year 200 AD, and you will find a culture deeply suspicious of a new religious movement. To the ancient Roman mind, the idea of worshiping a crucified criminal was a complete absurdity. We can see exactly how the public viewed this early Christian god in a piece of ancient graffiti. It shows a man with a donkey's head being nailed to a cross, accompanied by text mocking a local man named Alexamenos for his faith. Romans were highly accustomed to stories of divine beings walking the earth, but those beings were heroic and triumphant. Hercules had conquered monsters. Deified emperors wielded absolute power. In Roman logic, defeat and death were the exact opposite of divinity. The mockery Alexamenos faced highlights a deeper cultural rift. By worshiping a crucified man, Christians were honoring a figure that represented the ultimate symbol of Roman failure and shame, a choice that set them on a collision course with the values of the empire. By the year 112 AD, that rift was causing administrative panic. Pliny the Younger, the governor of the Roman province of Bithynia Pontus, wrote an urgent letter to the Emperor Trajan. He was receiving widespread reports of a peculiar Jewish sect gaining converts across his territory. To understand Pliny's alarm, you have to look at the mechanics of Roman civic religion. It relied on a physical transaction. Everyday public sacrifices and temple worship were believed to literally guarantee the empire's agricultural prosperity and military protection. The Christians refused to participate in any of it. They boycotted the public shrines, turned down civic offices, and withdrew from the festivals and theatrical games that served as the beating heart of Roman community life. The Roman intellectual class reacted with disgust. The historian Tacitus, a close friend of Pliny, famously labeled these early Christians as atheists and accused them of harboring a hatred of humanity. To Roman officials, Christian withdrawal was an act of civic sabotage. By refusing to honor the traditional gods, the growing Christian communities were perceived as risking divine punishment for the entire province. Because they boycotted the public sphere, Christians met in secret. This secrecy bred terrifying rumors. Whispers spread across Rome that these shadowy gatherings involved political conspiracies against the emperor and cannibalistic rituals where initiates ate children disguised as bread. Determined to uncover the truth, Pliny interrogated believers and discovered a remarkably mundane reality. They gathered before dawn on Sundays to sing hymns honoring Jesus, read aloud from Jewish prophecies, and share a simple Thanksgiving meal of bread and wine. Within these meetings, leaders laid out a countercultural set of moral instructions. While Roman society normalized the exposure of unwanted infants, Christians were actively rescuing and raising abandoned babies. They also pooled their resources to care for widows, orphans, and the sick. The investigation had uncovered something far different from the treasonous cult Rome feared, a pacifist community whose primary tool of growth was an infectious ethic of care. This chart visualizes the intensely stratified Roman society. Life was defined by rigid boundaries separating masters from slaves, citizens from non-citizens. The early church dismantled these boundaries. Inside their gatherings, wealthy merchants and respected military centurions worshipped alongside the lowest classes of society. This equality pulled in converts from remarkably high places. The Apostle Paul even recorded meeting believers operating from within Emperor Nero's own royal household. Pliny's investigation in Bithynia revealed a shocking social inversion. He found classically trained philosophers taking spiritual direction from female slaves who served as community leaders, with every member addressing the others as brother and sister. By replacing the strict natural order of the ancient world with a chosen egalitarian family, Christians were threatening to dissolve the systems of control that kept the empire's hierarchy in place. Pliny ultimately wrote to Emperor Trajan with a lethal question. Could he execute an individual simply for bearing the name Christian, even without evidence of any other crimes? The emperor replied with a clear yes. This legal precedent fueled brutal, localized persecutions. During the reign of Nero, believers were dragged into public arenas, burned alive, or torn apart by wild dogs for the entertainment of the masses. Execution was the empire's psychological leverage. For the average Roman citizen, the threat of death was an infallible tool for maintaining civic discipline. because they believed this earthly life was the only existence they had. Christians broke that leverage. Because they followed a leader who had returned from the grave, they held a concrete belief in their own resurrection. For them, the Roman sword had lost its sting. The courage shown in the face of execution inverted Rome's power, turning intended spectacles of terror into events that drew public sympathy and accelerated the movement's growth. Communities like the one in Bithynia endured this lethal pressure by clinging to texts like the letter of 1 Peter, which instructed early believers to find purpose and blessing even when suffering for the name of Christ. People accepted these immense risks because the community offered something Rome couldn't. The marginalized found radical dignity, true forgiveness, and what they described as a personal encounter with a living God. This map tracks the movement's geographic expansion. What began as a tiny sect in Jerusalem now reached across the Roman and Parthian empires, totaling over 200,000 believers by the year 200 AD. Rome possessed all the military might, historical prestige, and strict social architecture of the ancient world. But the early church outlasted them by wielding a hope that reached beyond the grave.